Peace and blessings, all my good people. It's your boy Mickey Fenty, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel. Subscribe right now. Also, if you guys want to support me outside of YouTube, I have my latest book out right now on Amazon. It's called The 48 Laws of Peace, written by me, Michael Fenty. Guys, go check it out. I feel like every household should have a copy of this book. Okay, we don't judge. This story that we're about to get into, all I have to say is I'm going to need you guys' help on this one because it's one of those things where I just feel like this lady, she's not lying about her son. She's not lying. That's how I feel. And I want you guys to, because I don't want to just stick to my opinion of it. I want to know what you guys think about it. And something just doesn't feel right about this, the whole allegations, everything. So her son ends up getting, I believe it's 23 to 60 years in prison. And we're going to see what this story is all about. And I want you guys to use your hearts and break it down. And do you believe her or you don't believe her? This is one of those believe it or not type of situations in this story. So we're going to jump right in. You guys let me know what you think about it. And yeah, leave your comments down below. Love you guys. All right, let's get it.
So, 2018, my husband and I come back from New York for our anniversary. And
Okay.
this girl's in our home. My son got her there. And he said that she was going to stay for the weekend. So we were like, okay. Once the weekend was over, she's still there. We get her information. She said her name was Emiliana. Her friend was supposed to come and pick her up. This kept on going on for days. So finally, we're like, okay, it's time for you to go. And she sits down with me and tells me that her mom kicked her out. She didn't have anywhere to go. Her stepfather was molesting her, watching her get out of showers and stuff, and her mom was allowing it. I have a soft spot for children, of course. I have 8 of them myself, and I love children. So this broke my heart. I allowed her to stay for a little while longer. Well, this little while longer went on for 7-8 months. And she just
Wow. That's more than a little while.
Every excuse in the world not to leave, my house. I've tried several times at this point to get her out of the house, called the cops, so forth. They said she had squatter rights. She just wouldn't leave.
Squatter
she ended up
rights?
being like this liar, just a bad liar, and she will lie to your face. Even with evidence being there, she will still look at you right in your face and lie about things. We found her, sending nudes to guys while my son was at work. And she told my son the whole time that her phone was broken. She called herself smoking weed with my 14-year-old daughter at the time, lied to my son and said that was my daughter's idea, got her in trouble. Just a lot of BS, and I couldn't seem to get rid of this girl. At one point, she left finally and then hitchhiked her way back to my house with her mom's stolen credit card, and I had people knocking at my door. I mean, it was just a big, huge mess. So fast forward all the way to the month that we kicked her out. I kicked her out. Her and my son was working full-time at Burger King, and he was a minor, so they stopped giving him hours, and she was not a minor, so they kept her on full-time. Well, my son found out that she was having sex with one of the guys that she worked with at Burger King. He reached out to my son's like, hey, your girl's a hoe. I didn't after this many times and whatever. My son was heartbroken. He actually cried to me, but he wanted to forgive her. And I'm like, no, she needs to get out of my house. I mean, there's been so many incidents where it's just time for her to go now. And so I kicked her out. I made phone calls. I contacted her grandmother. Her grandmother told me that she had a mental
Why is it so hard to kick her out? Get her out.
Ever since she was a little girl.
Mental
her mother
issues
really
now?
didn't have anything to do with her, and that she raised her. However, that this girl, well, first her real name was not Emiliana. It was Emily, and she stole over 17K from her grandfather, and her grandfather kicked her out, said, if you step foot on this property again, we will call the cops. So then at that point, she went with her mom and stole her mom's car and got pulled over, had possession of weed, got on probation, ended up with a warrant for her arrest. And
She is
she
doing a
had been
lot
at my
right
house.
now.
I found out
What?
that she was on the run. She had a warrant for her arrest. So I said, well, at this point, she's going to be homeless. I don't care. I want this girl out of my house. You guys, as a family, need to figure out
Yeah,
what you're
get her
going
away
to
from
do.
us.
And then she took a bunch of pills that was in my medicine cabinet. She told my son, well, if I can't have you, I don't want to live.
Okay, so far what I'm hearing is this female, whoever she is, she's a nightmare. And not only is she a nightmare, wherever she goes, she brings destruction along with her. And it seems like her son, it sounds like they were dating because he was upset that she was sleeping around. So that means that he picked her up and he started dating her, and it ends up that, it was a bad person for him. So let's see what's going on. Wow, it's nuts.
My son was, of course, very scared. He begged me to take her to the hospital. I then called the cops and said, hey, you guys need to do something about this girl. Number one, we live in a predominantly 90% like a neighborhood where it's just predominantly white people. And we're like
Okay.
the only colored family in the area. And I
Black.
said, if she happens to do anything to herself of that nature and unalive herself, of course, we would be the ones to be looked at. So at this point, I'm like, this is not
Oh
okay.
my God.
So I did tell her grandmother, I did tell her mother this. Well, I didn't speak directly to her mother, but her grandmother told her mother this. And her mother finally agreed to come and get her. Well, the day that her mom came to get her,
Yeah,
we
come
made
get
sure
her.
that
Come
she
get her.
had everything out of the house. I didn't want anything left behind because of how hard it's been to get rid of this girl and her keep coming back. The cops explained if she leaves at her own free will, then I didn't have to legally evict her, and she would then have given up her squatter's rights and just to not let her come back. So I made sure everything was
Squatters'
taken.
rights. Get her out of
So
my
then at
house.
this point,
Are you serious?
she was gone. I find out her mom took her to jail the same exact
Okay.
day she came to pick her up. Because
What?
later on that night, she started calling my
Oh, because
son
she had a warrant.
from jail. And she had gotten 30 days in jail. And she did those 30 days. She
Number
called
one,
my
your son
son
is
over
simping.
100
Keep
times.
speaking to her.
And the day that she got
Wow.
out, she brought the cops to my house. I was not home. My husband and I was not home. And my oldest son
Huh?
was watching the kids for me. So when the cops came, they brought my son on the porch. My son called us on speakerphone, and they said that they wanted to ask him questions and stuff. We said no, we're on our way home. We'd be there in about 15 minutes,
Questions about
and we'll bring
what?
our lawyer. And then at that point, you guys could speak to the lawyer. The cops did not like that, and they hung up on me. And then they had this girl in the car, agreed, not agreed, I'm sorry, told my children and us, because we was on, my husband was on another phone call on speakerphone, and the cop says, well, she's here to come and pick up some things. And we said no, she took
Okay, so
everything
get
she
your
owned.
stuff.
She does not have anything in our house. Do not let this
Oh,
girl
okay.
in our house.
Don't want
The
her to
cops
steal from
did
the
not
house.
care. They let her in our house with us not there, without our permission. Wouldn't let my son go upstairs, so she was free to go upstairs and get whatever she wanted. So when we did get home, they took my son to jail while we weren't there, and I had to
Why
pay
did they
ten
take him to
thousand
jail,
dollars to
though?
get my son out of jail. And when he got home, he seen that all the letters that she wrote him while she was in jail was gone. His Cartiers was gone. $3,000 was taken, and his coat, his ID, just other little things that was his. So the cops basically assisted her in a robbery and a home invasion at this point. So we told our lawyer about that, and he says, well, at this point, because it's such a racist county out there, just call
Wow,
and
your lawyer
file a
said that?
complaint. Well, the complaining officer that came was one of the guys who brought her over here. So anyways, we end up having to go to court. They charged him with originally they charged him with four things.
What?
And then it went to
What's
the
that?
prosecutor's office and they hiked it up. And Allegan is known for hiked up charges. They hiked it up for 8 charges total, 7 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. And what they came up with, this girl's story was so horrendous and so monstrous. You have to stick around for part 2 and hear the rest of the
All right,
story. It
let's
will
get it.
blow
Let's
your
get it.
mind. So my son was sentenced to 23 years to 60 years.
23. What?
This is truly a mother's worst nightmare. I have paid for over 20 lawyers.
For what?
I have paid over $250,000 paying for lawyers for my son. And we've got 1 shot left. And we're just begging and hoping that this girl would just come clean. Just come clean and just tell the truth. And at this point right now, she's got a black boyfriend. So I know that she's got to save face in front of him and his
white.
family, because if they found out what she really truly did, I don't think that she'd be in that relationship right now. But it's just a horrible feeling to know that your child's life is in the hands
I need more
of
detail.
a lawyer. To find someone who actually cares about helping versus just looking at this case like a check. Right now, I've got him one of the.
Okay, real quick. So far, I'm a little. I don't understand yet exactly what's going on, but I do have some kind of understanding. My understanding of it so far is that they're not treating her son with any respect or any. They're not treating him to his rights. And they're just taking a one side from this female, which happens to be a white girl, saying probably what I'm guessing is the worst thing I'm guessing is the R word. If she said anything like that, but it seems like they're not giving him a fair shot to explain himself. I'm not hearing, like what did he do? And if that is the case, why would she always want to be coming back to his house? And why, it doesn't seem like that's not showing that she's afraid of him or afraid of something that he has done to her. It shows that she's being aggressive and she's upset that they're trying to get her out of the house. So far I'm not too sure what's going on, but let's see it further and see if she goes into detail on what's going on here.
Best top lawyers in Michigan for an appeal. So I am praying in the name of Jesus
23
that
years
everything
is
is going
crazy.
to work
23
out,
to 60?
with this appeal.
What's going on for real?
Again, he was 17 when this happened. He's 23. He's about to be 24
17?
now.
Okay.
He is, I'm the only one that's been there for him through this whole ordeal. And it hurts.
Crazy.
It hurts to be the only one there.
Why is he doing all this time for? What did he
do during all this? He has a daughter that he's never met.
Should I say, what did she say he did?
She really misses her daddy. She wants to see her daddy. She wants to meet her daddy. As of right now, she's calling a whole nother man daddy. And it breaks his heart.
Oh my gosh.
And, he
That's
actually
ridiculous.
had a record deal before he was locked up, before his life was taken from him.
Okay.
They were trying to get him to California. And there were several music labels reaching out to him. And it's just, his life was taken from him at 17. And I've been fighting ever since to get it back. So if you are interested in reaching out to him, I know that would mean a lot. He is looking for pen pals and, people to just vibe with and talk to. He is a man of God, and
Talk
he
to. He needs
is
to
still
speak
looking up,
to
staying
new lawyers
positive.
and a new
And his name is Tyrion
legal.
Henriquez. I will leave his information
Okay.
um, in the information below. His number is 672-344. And any positivity, any help, that would be great. And we are still fighting. We are still
How
believing.
were we trying to appeal this
And
case or trying to get him
he does
out?
have a
Not a
lawsuit. We
pen
have
pal.
lawsuits. And as soon as we
Okay.
get him
Okay.
home, we will be leaving Allegan. Allegan is the worst place to raise anyone of color. And if I would have known that, I would not have bought a house here.
So y'all are, so,
I was just looking for a
wow.
house big enough for my big family.
Leave
And I
now.
wanted to get my son out of the city and away from drugs and gang violence and things like that. And
Understood.
he got caught
Understand.
up in this anyway. So it's really sad. It's a horrible story. I stay prayed up. I stay talking to him every day. We stay prayed up, and I would just like for his story to be shared, because no person should have to go through this. His trial lawyer said this was a real life 2026 lynching. They lynched my son. And
Wow.
he just looked at my son like another paycheck, but he
Something don't
disguised
seem
himself
right
under
about this
caring.
whole situation
He
here.
acted like he cared, but yet he allowed the judge to do everything she could do that was corrupt. And that was just evil. It was wrong to play with people's lives like that.
Holy cow.
So you share this story.
Let's see
People
what's...
deserve better. We deserve real justice. People keep asking me, how did this even happen? Well, here's how.
Okay.
The police never investigated anything.
Okay, yeah.
They didn't question anyone in my house. They didn't talk to her coworkers. They didn't check phone records, videos, or messages. Instead, they showed up with her, arrested my black son with no parents present, and helped her into our home to take letters that she wrote that proved that she was lying. Now, that's not justice. That's assistance. All
Are
they
you
needed was her word
serious?
and the color of my son's skin. That's how this was allowed to happen. Part two to my son's story. So, they ended up charging my son with strangulation, torture, wrongful imprisonment, intent to do bodily harm.
Strangulation, torture.
I mean, it was so many things. I can't
What?
even remember all the things that they charged my son with. Again, he's only 17 at the time of this, and we hear her statement on what happened. Well, come to find out, she told her mom that her mom was also racist. That my son had imprisoned her. She couldn't eat. She had went days at a time without eating. She was locked in the room. However, I had to show exactly.
Okay, so now we got a little bit more on the story. So she's saying that her son actually, like in other words, instead of, and it sounds like they were dating, and she's saying that her son imprisoned her. So in other words, taking her from wherever she was off the street and pulling her into the house and not letting her go anywhere, not feeding her, and strangling her. But from what we know, from what this mother is saying, is that she had her free, she had free will to do anything she wanted. She even ended up smoking marijuana with her 14-year-old daughter. So that doesn't seem like somebody's holding her back. It seems like she had the freedom to do so much. And when you hear things like that, it means that she was home on her own, and she got to know the family. And now when they wanted her to get her out, she didn't want to even leave. So it's not like she was trapped in there. So it sounds like something's really fishy about this whole situation. And when I hear about she lives in a racist town, these types of things happen a lot. And this is I'm not a racist. I love white people, I love black people, but these sorts of things do happen in certain towns where there's all one color, and now they're prejudging that one person because to them is an oddball, or or those are some people that they want to get out of the neighborhood, and these types of things could be dangerous. So now it looks like this little white girl, or whoever she was, lied on this black kid, and now he's doing time 23 to 60 years in prison because the judge didn't believe what was going on. If they didn't look for the proper evidence, and she came back and took the evidence as far as her jail letters, then it just goes to show that he was wrongfully convicted. What do you guys think on this one? Let's see what's going on, man. This is ridiculous.
What our upstairs look like, and it's impossible to lock anybody in the room because the lock is on the inside. That he
Damn.
would pour pee on her every single day. However, she worked a
What?
full-time job at Burger King, um, and oh, the guy that she caught
They
was
worked
caught
together. She
cheating
could have
with,
ran. She had so many different times to leave.
her,
Like,
which she admitted on the stand that
okay.
that was a lie. She lied on him too.
That's where I was trying to get at. If the R word, and we see a lot of situations, a lot of cases where females, they lie on the male and saying that they did the R thing to them, and now it turns this whole situation into like, who do you believe? And it's sad because it doesn't sound like she was in a position where, that if that was the case, that he did something like that she couldn't get away and run to authority. No, it seemed she was squatting there. They said she didn't want to leave. So that doesn't sound to me like a victim of the R. It doesn't sound to me. What do you guys think? It doesn't sound to me like he. Come on.
Um, and that my son would beat her, take her to the shed, beat her on mattresses, and just the most
What?
craziest things you can ever imagine. And everything, there was
Oh
no
my God.
investigation. No cops ever came over here to speak to my son or to speak to the family. My husband and I
Are you
own a
serious?
business. We work from home. So we're here 90% of the time, unless we're going grocery shopping or something like that. My kids were doing online school at the time. So I had 8 kids. Well, six at the time. This was a house full of people. Okay, I had
Yeah, like how would they not know?
4
Like,
children living
oh my gosh.
upstairs with them. Okay, and she also claimed that my son raped her, and did a bunch of other things, but they were in this. She was living here in my home in a consensual relationship with my son. So there was never no investigation. Like I said, cops never came here, pulled up no carpet, checked
Ladies,
for
I
pee,
need y'all to
never looked
chime
for
in. What do
these
y'all think? Y'all got to give
scissors
me
or belt
something. What do y'all
buckles that she
think?
claimed he beat her with. Never, never did anything at all. We were the one to provide the pictures of the home, how my home is laid out, of the shed. She claimed to have slept in the dead winter in Michigan and survived. And nothing. They just literally took her word. She took pictures of bruises. However, she spent
This is
30
dangerous.
days in jail since she left my house. Who keeps bruises on their body for 30 days and then be able to come home and take pictures of these bruises, and then they be used as evidence? Okay. And then the cops, it was her mother who made this report, where we already know. One of the last conversations that they had, my son and her had on the phone while she was in jail, was, you have to lie to your mom or something because I don't have anywhere to go. I need to be able to come there. So just lie to her and tell her I never cheated on you. My son says,
Just
I'm
lie.
sorry.
Just lie.
My mom is not going to let you come back to our house.
What's up with all this
I'm
lying
sorry.
stuff?
He says you have to lie. You have to do whatever you have to do to get in good with your mom or your grandma, because my
Some
mom's
people,
not going to
man,
let you come
it
back
just don't
here.
sound good
He
at
never
all,
thought in
at
a million
all, at
years
all.
she was going to make these types of lies to get in good with her mom, so she'll have a place to stay. So she made her mom believe that he was doing all of these horrific things to her, so she would feel sorry for her and let her daughter stay. Well, when she heard her daughter say all these things, she called the cops, just as any mother would do, and reported this stuff. Well, the cops here, being elegant and racist, they're like, well, can you get her to come down here and say this about him? And her mom made her. And
Move out of there right now.
The cops was
and
like,
get legal representation.
Well, with her statement, with her saying this, then we can press charges against him. So after that, she was calling my son. She was calling me. She was saying sorry for lying. She didn't want any of this to happen, but she didn't want to come clean at this point because she was afraid. She didn't want to go to prison. All of this stuff.
What?
And I had him out on bond, so I didn't want to, him to break his bond or get his bond revoked. So I denied her to be able to see my son, and she's just calling me, begging me to let her see him. And at this point, I'm just like, no. So I paid for 2 lawyers at the time and went to a preliminary hearing, and the judge caught her lying so many times. He threw out all of those big charges that they had, and including like the torture, the wrongful imprisonment, all of that stuff. He took all of that out. Well, he bound
all of that sounds crazy.
The CSC charges. Now, it happened to go to circuit court at that point, and the judge, the most crooked judge in Allegan, the most racist judge in Allegan, it went to Baker, Margaret Baker. She was prosecutor for CSC cases. Anybody who's ever gone in front of her for CSC has been found guilty. So at this point, the prosecution
her mind's made up.
30 days to file for to try to reinstate those charges. Well, guess what? It went past those 30 days, but Judge Baker, she says, I'm gonna still allow it, and I'm going to reinstate all of the charges the first judge just took out because it says that this happened in her statement. So I don't see what the credibility issue could have been. Well, the first judge spent 2 days listening to her.
That's taking one side.
Which
that is only...
she hadn't even listened to her at that point. Didn't care what the first judge said. She reinstated all of those charges. So it had to go to trial. The judge says, well, I want this trial over in 3 days.
Wow.
It was 10 Caucasian men, 2 Caucasian women in the jury. Every piece of evidence that we had over 100 phone calls of her saying the complete opposite of what she claimed happened to her in this house.
Wow.
She
I believe you, Mom.
Judge Baker wouldn't allow those phone calls to be played to the jury. We had
they had their mind made up.
Pictures. We had
That's how
videos.
I feel.
We had. I mean, my son was a rapper, so he would record everything. He literally had videos.
That made it even worse for him.
Of them every single day. There's no bruises, there's no locked up, there's no torture, there's no anything of that nature. It's just 2 young people having fun, smoking weed, rapping, making videos, just regular relationship stuff. And she wouldn't allow that. She wouldn't allow none of the pictures. And then during that time, my son ended up getting another girlfriend. And then she really got mad, and she really went.
That's when
her story of,
yep.
afraid I'm going to get in trouble for telling the truth turned into, oh yes, he really did this stuff to me, and she went full force at trying to get him in trouble. She was even reaching out to people saying, let's get his bond revoked, and we had all that as evidence too. Like she was literally plotting to try to get him to break his revoke his bond and get him locked up on other charges. So after all of that happened during the trial, we actually seen the Judge Baker. She was bringing cookies to one of the prosecutors on the day that it was given to the our attorney to plead for my son's life. And at that point, We seen, and the Judge Baker was actually accused of working with the prosecution, and they were doing an active investigation on her at that point. So, with all of this happening, um, and the prosecutor or the judge was fighting with our lawyer more than the prosecutor. Well, he did lose his case. Let me explain how a lie took my son's entire life. My son was 17. His girlfriend
Okay.
lived in my house. When I kicked her out for cheating and lying, she didn't just get mad. She made up a horrible story about him. Now, she was white. We live in a racist county. Instead of investigating anything, 6 white cops showed up to my house and took my son away and wouldn't even tell us why. They helped her come back into my house and take evidence. There was no investigation, no witnesses, no medical records, just her word. The first judge called her lying and threw out the worst charges. Then another judge, a former prosecutor, put everything back on the table and blocked all of our evidence. An all-white jury convicted him. My son got life. She moved to Florida and got engaged. If you think this can't happen, you're wrong. Please report this. People need to see it.
Wow. Where do I start? Well, I can start with this. Not everybody is a racist, but we know racism does exist. And in this case right here, it seems like this is what really stemmed that was the fuel to the fire in this whole situation now. Because the way the mother described how their relationship was, according to the mother, it sounds like she all the stuff that she said was a lie. Her being trapped in there, and then eventually they end up dropping all the charges. So what about the R charge? When he finally gets in a new girlfriend and he has somebody new in her life, then she starts going back into this revengeful type of state. This girl was dangerous, and not only she was dangerous, the judge, shame on that judge, because if you're a judge, you're supposed to be judging for the right and have the right information set put in front of you to see if that person's guilty or not just go off of past incidents that you had in the past and just throw somebody's life away. This is a sad one of these stories that I do believe the mother, and I feel like that female, she was wicked to have a guy that's gonna help her out to try to bring her into his household because she was a runaway, and then her just because she couldn't stay as long as she wanted to stay, and things happen in relationships. People don't always stay together, and now she turned around and created this whole story. It's absolutely crazy. This happens a lot of times, and especially when this is the scary thing about life. When you are put in these type of addictions, you're moving into a neighborhood where it's predominantly one like all white people or all, it's gonna be these types of issues as far as your kids going to school. I guess that's the reason why she said her kids were being homeschooled, because if they was going to school, you never know if the other kids were going to get a certain type of treatment. If she said this is some racist town, she has to move out of that area and find a place to live where her family can, be raised in peace. Nobody wants to be in a place where nobody wants you to be in there, because eventually what happens, they start turning everything on you and you become the person that they're aiming everything on, and that doesn't ever turn out right. You thinking that it's 2026 and people still have these wicked thoughts and these wicked ways of themselves to corrupt other people's lives. Now she loses her son because they sentence him to life. And that's all because they believe what they want to believe instead of going with the evidence and seeing that that girl was possibly lying. You guys let me know how you feel on this one. Do you feel like the mother was telling the truth? I feel like that female that they're talking about, she's very wicked, and what she did to her son is karma will spin the block. Until next time, it's your boy Mickey Fenty, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel. Subscribe right now. Peace.